Good afternoon, everyone. I'll call the meeting to order now. Beginning with the approval of the agenda. Would someone move that we adopt the agenda, please? Lorraine, and a seconder? Katie, thank you. All in favor? Okay, the agenda is approved. Next item is the adoption of the minutes from June the 16th. I hope everybody has had a look at the real minutes, which Mary sent out today.
Yep.
I did wonder, Mary, why they were so short as well.
I know, it was quite an extensive conversation.
Yes, it certainly was. Before we go ahead with approving the minutes, there are a couple of sort of outstanding items from the minutes. One of them was a potential site visit to the water treatment plant so that we could document the key heritage attributes. Has there been any word on that anyone's aware of?
Not that I've heard.
No. Mary, would you be able to follow up on that for us, please?
I can.
And the other one was the example of the window for the Town Hall Phase 3 project that they were going to provide for us to have a look at. No news on that?
Received that.
Sorry?
I haven't received that, but I'll follow up on that as well.
Okay. Is there anything else that anyone wishes to address in the minutes? Any errors, omissions, or anything like that before we approve? No? Okay. A motion to approve the minutes then, please. Katie, thank you. And a seconder? Lorraine? All in favor of adopting the minutes? Okay, thank you. That's passed. Disclosure of monetary interest. Chris?
Yeah, I have a pecuniary interest in, is it 7A and B, 102 and 110 Brockville Street designations.
Okay.
So I'll turn off my camera and get out for that.
All right, I have it documented.
Okay. First of all, well, Mary has kindly produced some recommended motions that we can have a look at. We've gone over the descriptions of all three of these properties, over the historical description and the architectural features and the key heritage attributes. So perhaps this time, Mary?
Sorry, I know Chris shut his camera off and shut his mic off, which I appreciated. If you want to have a general discussion now on just what's being presented, that's great. Whenever we go to discuss specific properties, specifically 102 and 110 Brockville Street, we will need to ask IT to put Chris in the waiting room until we resume with 39 Russell Street East.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, maybe now's the time to do that then.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Dave, if you don't mind placing Chris in the waiting room.
Thank you. So going back to these three potential heritage designations, I thought perhaps it was time, when we've done all the work, the sites have been visited, the owners have been notified and conversations have been had with them, and they've had ample opportunity to raise any objections that they might have, and that hasn't happened. So I'm thinking maybe it's time that we should go ahead and make the motions and have them presented to council. So is there any discussion that we'd like to have beforehand? Lorraine? You're on mute.
Oh, Lorraine.
I'm sorry. I never mute myself.
Okay.
I was just the writers a compliment saying that they're very well done. And I'm really proud of these three. And of course, we've got to identify them. I mean, these are three of the best properties in our town. So well done. And thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Jenny, did you want to comment too?
I just wondered if there was an opportunity to add pictures, some photos, so we can document the images of some of those attributes.
Yes, that's a good point. And I think when they are presented to council, we would need photographs to accompany them. You usually do that, don't you, Tony?
I do, yeah.
And do you usually take the photographs yourself, or how do
Well, actually,
you?
I usually have an assistant. It used to be Chris, and we do like a slideshow on the screen in the council chambers.
Well, we won't be able to do it that way this time, so we will need somebody to provide photographs. Mary, were you going to comment?
Right, I just wanted to add for Jenny's sake that July 1st, photos of the property was mandated under the Ontario Heritage Act for inclusion in the bylaw, so they will have to be included.
So how do you want to handle that, Tony?
When are we going forward with this?
Well, I want to leave that. I would leave that up to you, Tony, because I guess you would be asked to present to council.
When we can get on the agenda, we can go ahead, but I'm very much hoping the municipality joins the rest of the world and gets away from Zoom meetings.
Yes, that would be nice, wouldn't it? I was hoping we might talk about that today briefly at the end of the meeting. Well, let's do the motions first, and then we can talk about the presentation. If anyone else want to comment on the proposed motions before we go ahead? Okay, the first one then is for 102 Brockville, and the most recommended motion is that the Municipal Heritage Committee hereby recommend that council proceed with the designation of 102 Brockville Street under Section 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act in accordance with the Statement of Cultural Heritage Value or Interest, along with the key attributes of the property developed by the committee. Would someone move that, please?
I will so move.
Okay, Tony, and the seconder then? Lorraine is the seconder. All in favor of that motion? Thank you. That's passed. So we move on to 110 Brockville Street. The motion is almost identical, except that the address is different for 110 Brockville Street. So I don't know if I really need to read that one out. Do I, Mary?
No, you need to read it out.
Okay. So would someone make that motion then, please, for 110? Jenny is making a motion and a seconder. Katie, thank you. All in favor? Thank you. That motion is passed. And the third one, Chris can join us.
We should have Chris come back now, though.
Yeah.
Let me in.
Dave, you can go. Perfect.
So the third motion for 39 Russell Street East is that the Municipal Heritage Committee hereby recommend that council proceed with the designation of 39 Russell Street East under Section 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act in accordance with the Statement of Cultural Heritage Value or Interest, along with the key attributes of the property developed by the committee. Would someone make that motion, please? Katie, and the seconder? Lorraine.
Oh, okay.
All in favor of that motion? Okay, the motion is passed. Thank you. So now we can talk about the logistics then of presenting these motions to council. I don't know what kind of a timeline you want. I'm going to leave that up to you though, Tony, since you're the primary presenter.
Well, as I say, pretty much Maybe some of our council reps may have some idea when they're coming out of the pandemic restrictions.
Right, right. You would prefer to do it in person then? Is that what you're saying?
If possible. Yeah.
Mhm.
Is that
Anybody?
coming up soon, Chris?
He doesn't know.
Mary?
Sorry, I have an update that I provided to CIP last week that was given to me from the clerk's office. So last Thursday, the emergency control group discussed resuming in-person meetings. And right as of this time, I'm not sure when the next report will be provided to council, but I'm aware that the clerk's office will provide me an update when that report is scheduled to go.
That's
We
unclear.
don't,
I don't know what that meant.
no, I don't either. Does
So
that
the
mean,
emergency control group is the one who's been kind of liaisoning with the health units
Right.
and deciding on when we open and close and what kind of procedures we have to have in place. So last Thursday, they met to discuss and they were discussing in-person meetings. And after that discussion, they were kind of going to figure out when they were going to take their next presentation to council on resuming in-person meetings. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but the clerk's office is going to advise me when the next scheduled report is going forward.
okay, so in other words, you don't know.
In other words, yes, I don't know yet, but they're assessing it and they're on it.
May I,
Go ahead, Tony.
Mary, is this an in-house group that are assessing this? Or is this outside
So this is a group
the
of
municipality?
municipal representatives.
Okay.
Better go forward, Tony.
Pardon?
You better go forward on it and do it from Zoom.
Yeah, I'm not getting any younger.
No,
Tony, if you like, I'll go around and take some pictures and send them to you.
Okay, if you want, I'm not sure if Lisa's coming back to work soon, but maybe I could get some from HH as well.
Yes, you'd want some old ones too, right? As well as current ones?
Yes. Yes, yeah, I'll see what Lisa has on file.
Okay. I guess we're done with the priority issues then. So we're on to correspondence items. Mary, I'll hand that one to you.
Yep, so this is the downtown revitalization render project. It's finalized. We have final renders here and in our hand. So the MHC had previously demonstrated some interest in this project. You would recall that Lorraine asked me to put the award of the RFP as a correspondence item. It was a council report that was appended to the agenda back in January maybe, or late 2020. So just due to the MHC's interest, staff have added this as a correspondence item for MHC's information.
Chris?
Thanks, Dorothy. I was wondering with the approval or consensus of the committee, if maybe a couple of us could take a look at this and kind of come back with some feedback at the next meeting. I think overall, I'm disappointed because we were really told this was going to be a heritage tool that we'd be able to use. But I still think it can be a learning opportunity for us where I think if we have a really constructive look at it, we could come up with some feedback that's really productive and helps move the conversation forward. But I think we need to address the fact that as a committee, we were told that this was going to address heritage attributes. And between painting brick or not acknowledging the architectural design of some of the buildings, there's some pretty major aspects of it that were omitted or overlooked. And I don't want to get it into just all negatives and no positives, but I think maybe if we take a really constructive look at it and kind of show where it performs well and where we're looking for more guidance. That could be not only good for our committee, but great for the CIP and for the town as a whole.
I have been told that the project is finished and is live, and that it's not a heritage project. Therefore, the Municipal Heritage Committee is not invited to provide feedback.
Well, I think we're a committee of council and we set our own agendas. So if as a committee we want to provide feedback, I think that's within our realm. But I also think that the fact that renderings were done on a downtown that we're looking at doing a heritage conservation district on, and in a memo to the CIP committee last week, it specifically mentioned that the MHC isn't relevant because we don't have a heritage conservation district for that area. So I think it's one of those things where good heritage is supposed to be good economic development. Everything we see tells us that. And that's why that's a huge bonus of having a heritage conservation district. So I worry if we don't put ourselves into this conversation, nobody else is going to speak up for us and it's just going to kind of get lost in the way. But I do remember this coming up at the CIP table and at the council table that it was going to be a heritage toolkit for heritage architectural features. Kind of the same way as getting a bunch of bylaws done, we'll have those templates. By getting a bunch of facades done, we'd be able to have those templates. And I think we've been left out of the equation. And I think we're left out of the equation a lot. And going into budget 2022, I think it's going to be especially important to show how we're getting left out to try to make that sales pitch for why we need this heritage conservation district.
Katie?
Do we need to check the minutes of those council meetings to see if we have a leg to stand on? Or, I mean, would that help?
Chris?
Well, I don't think the RFP had heritage in it multiple times, heritage facades, heritage architecture. So it's not that heritage has been left out of this project, but now I don't know if there's anything in our terms of reference that it's just weird that we'd be muzzled on this one, but our agenda is usually pretty open, right? If we want to give feedback to try to make something better, why wouldn't we have that opportunity? People don't have to take it, but at least we can offer it.
Yep, I agree.
Tony?
Madam Chair, yeah, I can echo what Chris says. Like, I read it twice, and multiple times they allude to heritage. They in different concepts and different proposals they're putting forward for their designs. So if they're alluding to heritage, why are we excluded? One of my biggest ones is the Remax, that they're covering up the existing entrance, the original entrance to it. And if I may ask, I don't understand the parameters of the program, but why is that ugly pizza building been left out? Like that building is a Second Empire design. It's the only Second Empire building we have in town, and it's covered up in those great big backlit orange pizza signs. Why has it been omitted?
Who would know?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know the answer to that. Go ahead, Chris.
Like, I think it was just a factor of there's hundreds of buildings downtown and they had to pick 20. But I think maybe if we had a working group or an offline less than quorum, kind of those of us that are interested could have a discussion on it, maybe come back to the next meeting with some ideas and some suggestions, and then that'd be a way, because I want to keep it constructive. There's a million things we could out, but let's try to have a real this is where it really excelled, and this is where we need more support as a committee and as heritage enthusiasts.
Lorraine, did you want to comment?
Well, if we have time, we're okay. There are aspects of this I really like, and I think the people who are hired to do these drawings, we're looking at I don't know if you got it when you were looking at it, but there's 3 options, and it has to do with price, big time in price. And so when you look at the option 3s, which in my view are an amazing contribution to the heritage buildings in the downtown, because I'm looking at gerbos, those buildings with those fake, I don't even know what composite windows stuck in all over the place, are the worst thing that's in our downtown, in my view, in terms of heritage. And so if you go to the mock-ups of what they would replace them to with more money, the old windows are restored and they're beautiful. And it's in my opinion, a lot better for the buildings. I understand what Chris is saying though, too. I struggle sometimes. I would never paint brick. But these, I think, were starting points to get the people who own the buildings to be looking at making a downtown that, you know, is really vibrant and well kept. And that's not our downtown in many of these buildings, you know. So I think Chris's idea is a good one.
Chris, you were going to comment?
And I'm looking right now on Michelle's Doorway to Splendor in Strands. That building is the most precious, beautiful heritage building in all of our downtown, and the mock-up of the lights and so on. I mean, I think it's beautiful. And even the pub, the new pub, the CIP money that paid for the doorway in the front entrance of that pub, it looks beautiful. So I'm in agreement that, you know, I don't see why anyone would mind us adding what we think would make this better, or looking at what we think works and what might not be what we would approve. I don't think they asked for it, but I don't see why we couldn't do it.
Okay, well then let's form a group to have a look at it. And when we do, I actually have hard copies of that in the big format. So if somebody would like, you know, if you're going to volunteer to be on this little working group, if you'd like to have a look at the real thing, I can certainly circulate that. So who would be interested in, I mean, we could have 2 or 3 people. We can't have more than 3.
Well, I always put my hand up, but I'm waiting for other people to do it.
Chris has his hand up.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I can do it alone. I can do it with people. I'm happy to do it with a little group, but if there's no interest and you want me to just kind of do a little
No,
thing up
Katie's
for next time.
interested.
Okay.
Well, I would,
I'm interested, but I don't have time. I absolutely do not have time right now. I've got too much going on.
So Katie,
well, I have time and I'd love to learn.
okay. And
I'm in
Tony?
too. If nobody else wants to jump in, I'm in too.
Okay, Chris, Katie, and Tony then, that's great. So Tony, do you like to have hard copies? Would you prefer to have a look at them?
Yes, I was going to ask where would you like to meet, but anyway.
Well, either I can bring them to you or you can pick them up out of my mailbox, either way. I can bring them to the Railway Museum if you like.
Yeah, I say, you know, my other house, the Railway Museum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you there all the time, Tony?
Probably most of the time, yes. Yeah, we're having problem with staffing. We can't find anybody who would like a job, and yeah, we're a little short staffed. In fact, we're not opening Monday and Tuesday because we don't have enough staff.
You're not open Monday or Tuesday, did you say?
Yes, because we don't have staff. We don't have staff. Yeah.
Okay, I won't bring them over on Monday or Tuesday then, but I'll leave it to you guys to you know, to decide when to meet then. And I think that's a good idea. If you can, you know, bring some thoughts back to our next meeting, whether it's in August or September, that would be good. Any further comments on that subject?
I just wonder when this is going to start. Is there a time frame for the stores to get in touch with council or whomever to say they want to do it?
It's my understanding that this project has already been finalized and it's live right now. So it's not as if everyone's waiting for us to comment.
So we should be in a hurry then.
Chris?
Yeah, and the rush on this one, I think, is that the CIP committee wants to rubber stamp approval for all of these facades. So if we've got issues with, like, say, painting brick on one, that's where I see the usefulness of this feedback coming. The facades aren't going to change. The project's over. It is what it is. But at least if we can kind of organize our thoughts and constructively contribute to it, then maybe that can help inform other conversations. But definitely, I don't know, the best time would have been 2 months ago, but the next best time is now.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so the next item, Mary, were you planning to comment on our meeting yesterday, or is it too soon?
I can give a brief update under the project update to the roundtable.
Okay.
To do it now, or?
Sure, why not?
Sure. So the evaluating committee for the request for quotations that we did met yesterday evening with the additional information that we received from the bidding consultants. So the evaluation committee has come to an agreement on scope and choice of consultant. Staff will be reaching out to that consultant next week and will provide an update to the committee once more information can be made public.
Okay, thank you. So we move on now to the research that Katie's been conducting on the downtown churches. And you all have received a copy of what she's written so far. I think we need to decide what we're going to do with this information. How are we going to move ahead? And go ahead, Katie.
I was wondering if you wanted me to set up each church with a statement of cultural heritage value as you have done with the homes. More, strict.
Yes, there will be a point where we need to do it like that. If we decide that we're going to go ahead and present them to be on the properties of interest, that would be the point at which we would. Yeah. And then we'd need you have some photographs.
Right.
So
I just add that I tried to speak to Major Riley at the Salvation Army Church on Brockville Street. I've been trying for months due to COVID. I've been unable to speak with anybody, and he is back. He's on holidays now that it's open. And so Monday, I'm going to speak with him and see if I can get something on the Salvation Army Church.
But that's not downtown though, is it?
Oh, no, you just want downtown.
You don't really need to do that one, I don't think, if it's not a heritage building or as such, Chris.
I might be wrong because of the addition put onto it, but did it have an architect that built it? I thought there was an architectural style to it that was put together for the congregation, and so I don't know. It might be good, just even though it's not your traditional heritage, it might be worth looking into, because I think I read something about it back a while ago, but it's on the edge of my brain, so I don't know for sure. But it's definitely a great style of a building, and it'd be interesting to know if it is from an architect. Maybe we want to include it.
Okay, they have something printed, so I'll get that. Okay, thanks.
So how would the committee like to proceed with this information?
Can we present them all as properties in interest, or go right to designation?
Right?
Yeah, no, they're great. I was just going to ask, and maybe I'm being very selfish, but you listed the manse and some of the other churches, but you didn't list the United Church manse, which is where I have
it. Fix that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about, that connection.
Okay, thank you.
Chris?
Maybe could we start a dialogue with some of the congregations or their leadership groups to see, just, let them know what the properties of interest means, and kind of, instead of sending the letter out and starting it that way with some correspondence, and just make sure, we've got a dialogue going and leading into I think properties of interest is a really straightforward one. 60 days for a demolition permit to be issued is a pretty small ask. So hopefully we can get okay on that.
We would definitely send a letter. I think we've done that before, right? Even before approaching properties of interest, we send a letter. But if the committee feels that we should proceed with these historic churches as properties of interest, then we would do that. Lorraine?
Well, what I was going to say is I can't imagine, like I know from my own church, and my husband was a Catholic in the Catholic Church, I can't see a congregation of the people that are looking after these buildings to be upset with us, hoping that they're stained glass and they're in amazing different features in their church that make them so unique wouldn't be protected. Like I can't see someone's, oh, sorry, Chris, you disagree with me.
I come from a faith tradition with a strong belief in demolition, and I can definitely see it being, I think the properties of interest is worth making a case, but the designation I'm more nervous about, as much as I wish that I think it's a really important tool. And I agree with you 100%, Lorraine. You get a lot of.
No, I think I get it. But yeah, let's start with for the first ones. And
I think we need to include more information about the architecture of the buildings. Like I'm not sure. Katie, do you recall if you named the architectural style for each one?
No, because I don't know it.
We weren't sure. For some of them, it's mentioned in Lockwood, right? What the like Gothic revival or whatever. Right. But I think if we were going to do that statement, we'd have to put some more information about the architecture.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's a harder part to include because none of us are experts in that. I only speak for myself. I shouldn't say that.
The one that
Go ahead, Lorraine.
That I think maybe is most unique is the one that is the little church beside the Orange Hall. I don't know what faith that is. Does anybody?
The church beside what?
The Orange Hall on
William?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think
that was a Presbyterian church.
It's a beautiful, beautiful building.
I agree. I think it's the most beautiful one.
I do. I think so. And I think it's the most intact. Like, I don't think anything's been changed inside at all. It's a beautiful building.
Chris?
I wonder too if some of these congregations have compiled the architectural features and some of the heritage stuff, and maybe they'd want to, help collaborate on what we've come up with, and maybe they've got something to add or something to tweak, and maybe that'd be another great part of having that dialogue started. Not kind of in the traditional sense, the way we do it for, say, the downtown buildings, but at least kind of recognizing that, we've got these community groups that probably have some internal knowledge that maybe we haven't dug up yet, or
make them part of the process.
Just maybe maybe they'll want to designate when they get that ownership over it. Fingers crossed.
Mm-hmm.
Did you find that, Katie, when you were researching the history? Was there any information on architectural features?
What is here is what I've been given. And what I've been able to find on the internet. So if it's not here, it isn't around. But the people may know in their own, the congregation. Maybe, I don't know.
In our church, there's a history room off of the main church itself, the vestibule. And I would go in there with Katie, but at the time, nobody wanted people in researching during the pandemic, but perhaps now would be an opportunity. Yeah. I know they have a lot of historical information on our church in there.
Well, we could try.
Yeah.
Well, as the pandemic restrictions ease, hopefully, we can work on that over the course of the fall, I guess. I mean, there's no big rush.
Yeah. Okay.
It would be nice to, fill in a little bit more about the architecture.
Yeah.
We'd be able to write those statements.
Right.
Any further comments? Okay, I guess that's time for round table then. If anyone has anything they'd like to mention, starting with Katie, I'll call you again.
Nothing?
Jenny,
I don't have anything.
Lorraine,
I'm getting excited or more excited about the Rideau, Hotel Rideau. I have to tell you that when the original front of the building was taken down, I really was hoping the exact replica would go back up made of wood and so forth. And I realize now that, you know, what's in my head and my heart can't always be created safely and then used. So I've had to sort of like take a step back. And I have to say, Katie and I went there for lunch, and as I was sitting looking out the window at it, I'm thinking, I'm getting to really like it. I like the way it looks, and I'm glad that it's going to be used. And so I don't know. I think sometimes it's being able to do the very best that's closest to what you're hoping it might turn out. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else ever feels that way, but that's how I felt.
it's almost finished, right?
Yeah, they have to do the posts at the bottom. I don't know when, maybe they're taking a break from it because they put everything away. So I'm not sure if they're going to do them later. Or I feel really badly that they didn't do the yellow brick at the bottom of that instead of gray brick. It sort of stands out as a yikes. It's just not right, but again, that's me.
Tony, you have anything?
Sure. Lorraine, I agree with you. All we can say, it looks a lot better than the waterworks. Great. It's great to have it. And on my tour, it's one of the highlights, along with that and the old post office. I mean, there's two remarkables that have been rehabilitated, and it's just nice that they're done. I hear the Pride Parade was on, now it's off again. Museum, we're hopefully doing engine rides this Sunday, and we're probably going to be doing them every Sunday. We can't have very many people. We're just getting used to the reality. And I hope some decisions are made about we can probably meet in person in the near future. I'm betting that everyone on the screen today is double shotted, and we can still meet in distance anyway. Let's hope for the best.
Chris, do you have anything for roundtable?
Yeah, I have a couple things actually. The first, I'll start with Lorraine. I'm really having a hard time with this because what we approved or what we were presented as a committee was a like for like proportions, materials, and we made a lot of compromises on that building. And to have the styrofoam and the stucco go up and the railing the way it was and the proportions the way they are, it's a hard one to deal with, and it's hard to know what our role is or how much what we do really matters when the developer goes and just does their own thing anyway. So it's definitely a huge improvement, and I'm very, very happy for it, but trying to get over those little things in my head that we were anticipating, because that was the expectation that was set. I was catching up on some of our emails last night, and I know, Jenny, you were asking about symposium stuff, and I don't know if we got to a consensus on that, but I was thinking maybe when I was driving around today at work, maybe what would be really cool is if we could get a webinar from the Ministry of Culture, or if we have a speaker, if we could find a speaker on heritage conservation districts, and maybe they could present to an October or November meeting. And it'd be something that we could share on social media, and we could still say we did a little symposium, but just maybe like a 45-minute talk or with some questions, or maybe that'd be a way to get around COVID and still do something. But it just seems like, I don't know, we kind of missed last year with the craziness of everything, and the HCD topic is I think going to really be relevant in the next few months. So maybe that throwing an idea out there. The other one I saw was Tony with the windows was definitely, I don't think we've decided those windows, and we're going to get that sample back to the committee. So I'm looking forward to that. We got a presentation at the accessibility committee on the town hall renos, and the new floor plan looks really great from a functionality perspective, not necessarily relevant to our group, but now they're proposing a ramp at the front door. And I just think that's something that we should get a look at because, you know, there's a huge range of ramps in town. And hopefully this one looks like the one at the post office compared to the one that we have there, or we had there last winter kind of thing. So those are those two. What's the other thing? I guess that's it. I can't wait for that tour. I'll bring that up again at council, and hopefully we can get some dates lined up for the water treatment plant.
Okay.
And yeah, great news if you saw the Monday meeting. That's what the other thing was. Bruce talked about keeping the red brick and the stone, which the first time he came, he wanted to get rid of the red brick. So I think he's slowly coming around to it.
But Chris, do you have in your mind how 7 floors would be added to that?
I'm a water engineer, not a structural engineer.
I know you are an engineer, but I was trying to think as I went by it today walking, where would it sit? Like, would it be an addition at the end that would go up? I don't know. I was trying to envision something and I was coming out with nothing. And then my good old dear water tower is going to be parking lot.
Well, that's if you're gonna put the tower, a new tower where the water tower is, it better be a iconic photo taking architectural emblem, you know,
Or something.
yeah.
Yeah, no, it was, interesting.
Is it safe to assume that plans for the water treatment plant will come to our committee?
Yes.
They have to.
Yeah.
But on the subject of plans, we've never seen the bandstand, the final design. And now that the butterfly gardens are in, I'm really getting worried there that it's going to be like a town hall phase 2 where, you know, where something's going to come out and it's like those windows that never got done in the host tower and the fire hall never got done. So.
What's that?
What, the host tower door? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know, remember the little windows that they were going to get filled in with real windows, and then the actual where the offices are in the old garage were supposed to look like the original. So it's just, I don't know. I mean, just every month that goes by that we don't get an update, I'm worried that something's gone off the rails. And but I don't know. Sorry, that's I've said more than.
No, I'm just digesting everything you said. Thinking back to your comment about the symposium. I mean, if we were to get somebody to address the topic, it seems like that sounds like a really good idea. Something that could be viewed by the public if they were interested in it. Maybe like later on, like October, November, some timeline like that. Were you thinking?
And Doors Open is on, by the way, people.
Can't hear you, Tony.
I said Doors Open is going to be on as well this year.
Oh, and is that in October?
I believe so. September, October. Yes.
It's usually September. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe October, November would be good after that. It's cooling down.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're not in a 4th wave or a 5th or whatever we are.
We haven't had the 4th one yet, I don't think.
Let's hope we don't have.
And the historic walks, town walks, have resumed. I guess you led one, Tony, did you, or more than one, or?
I think I'm into my 3rd or 4th now. Okay,
well, you're off the hook this weekend because it's my turn. I'm only doing 2, one this Saturday and one on August the 7th.
Okay.
What has there been turnout? Decent turnout?
I had 8, 4, and 11.
Great, great. That's good.
Mhm.
Anything else that anyone wishes to mention before we conclude? Katie?
I just wondered, Chris, are you our fearless leader of our threesome? Will you set it, let us know when we're meeting then? And
Yeah, let's, I'll send an email out when we get off here and we'll try to get a date next week. We can
okay,
maybe do a picnic table or an outside
Yeah.
get together.
perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Katie and Tony.
Well, so the next meeting is listed as August 18th, but unless there are items for the agenda or unless there's some kind of emergency, we wouldn't meet till September. So we just leave that open as a, it's the third Wednesday of the month anyway. So, and adjournment then. Would someone move that we adjourn? Chris, thank you. Meeting adjourned.